It is my pleasure to now invite Professor Balaraman Ravindran, Board Member Bodhan AI, the Center of Excellence in AI for Education, and Rukmini Banerji, CEO of Pratham Education Foundation, for a fireside chat on the vision for AI Center for Excellence in Education, rooted in the realities of the Indian education system. May I request both of you to kindly join us on stage, and over to you, Rukmini.
Good afternoon to everyone. Hello to Professor. I love the word fireside chat in a room that we are freezing in.
So we are supposed to increase the heat.
So we have to have a very warm discussion.
Sure. Yeah.
I have to say that Professor is done 12 sessions already.
Yep.
And he's still awake and alive. And the last fireside chat he had, in a hopefully a warmer atmosphere.
Nope, yes, Mr. Colder than this.
Was with, I'm saying his name right, Sabis. So we've brought him from sort of the heights to where the foundation has to be laid. And I'm really glad that you're here. I'm not sure how this is supposed to proceed. I'm supposed to ask you things and you're supposed to ask me.
Exactly, I think that's
so,
fine.
As the Center of Excellence for Education, you will have many, many demands being put on you. They're probably on you already. Historically, higher education has received, according to me, much more focus, much more resources. Even today, we see large number of private universities opening up. But for many people in this room, like myself, we think, and like what Mr. Kant just said, if the foundation is not strong, we're not really going to go anywhere. So as Center of Excellence, what is your commitment to the kind of work that we do?
Sure, great. So thank you for, and like I said, I mean, I'm really passionate about this. That's why I braved the horrible drive from Madras to here and back, because I wanted to make sure that I'm part of this session here. And before I answer your question, I just want to make sure you understand that our ambitions are a lot more limited. We're not a Center of Excellence in Education. We are a Center of Excellence in AI for Education. Okay, so that's a lot more limited ambition than trying to solve all of the issues. Having said that, so the primary objective, it is there in our basic founding charter of Bodhan AI, is to help use AI to address the problem of FLN in the country. Right, so that's the primary point of focus for at least for the first 3 years. That's what we're going to work on, and only when we actually make a nick. No, I'm not going to say we're going to solve it. Right? Until we make a nick, we're not going to start looking at other aspects of AI development for education. Right? And it's not a simple problem, as you obviously know. I'll come back. My question to you is more about that. But as we saw from the survey itself, right? So people think that they are using EdTech tools, and they're ending up using YouTube and WhatsApp and whatever, right? So these are not really tools that were designed for education. So it's going to be a big challenge when we are trying to do FLN, and our goal is to do FLN in a native language, right? In the language that children speak at home. So that's going to be an additional challenge, right, as well. So one of the major challenges that we have been seeing is, even if we build these tools, right, do we have people with the capability to ensure that the students get the most out of these tools? And which we saw from the results of the survey, at least from the samples that we saw already, is that maybe that's a challenge, right? So people do not even understand what are EdTech tools and how to use them properly and so on and so forth. And even if we actually build AI-enabled solutions for this, how do we get that to people? That's a human question to solve here as well. And so we are looking to partner with as many people in this space as possible to make sure that all the learnings that have already been gleaned from the human side of things, and the specific pain points that people have already felt in trying to get FLN to the last child in the country, right? And then think about how we can use AI to solve that. So as part of that dialogue, the initiation of that dialogue was the Bodhan AI Summit that happened last week, right? Thursday, Friday. It happened in Delhi. I don't know how many of you went to Bodhan AI Summit. So that is our attempt to start this dialogue going, right? So even though I think we had something like 150 exhibitors who have been operating in this EdTech space, not all of them were using AI, but they were certainly using technology to answer this question. So we had them come there And I think it was very vibrant, and unfortunately I had to miss it, but the people who were there, including people from CSF who I've been talking to, enjoyed the experience quite a bit. I think that's a start, and we will push on from there. And the goal is to create a public stack, right? Mostly try to see how much of it can be left in the open source, and even otherwise have a much more permissive license in using these tools. The idea would be that you have a base layer of AI tools, language tools for Indian languages, and then some AI applications built on top of it. And then finally, the last layer would be AI services, like educational tool services that can go to the last mile. So that's what we are looking at. Now, my question, like I said, let's start the dialogue.
Okay.
Right? So if you say that there are 2 pain points which you think technology can address in your head, what would those be?
So let me clarify. I can't say what technology can solve, but I can certainly give you some pain points. And then it's up to you and others who know
We'll figure out what technology will do.
Okay. So I would say, and there are many others in the audience, and I hope they'll agree with me. I think there are 2 or 3 key issues of what happens in a learning situation and in the way that we are organized in our schools and classrooms today. So the first thing is, how many teachers or how many instructors to how many learners? What is that ratio? We have a certain ratio that has come through as a legacy to us. And as we have put more and more, in Africa, I think there is still the ratios are, very different from what we have here. My own home state is Bihar. The ratio of teachers to children is very different from like a ratio in Karnataka or in. So there is this issue that there is some kind of learning that is happening that is going from one to many. And that many has, I think, several characteristics. In any setting, you have children, particularly as you go through the school system, you have a situation in which you have a very mixed classroom. The mixed classroom could be by age, where you have one teacher teaching. For example, although the new education policy has strongly recommended having a pre-primary classroom in the school, and many different states are doing this in different ways, having what the new education policy says, a qualified pre-primary teacher in every one of those pre-primary classrooms is not there. And therefore, you have teachers from 1st or 2nd grade teaching 3 grades. So there is an age issue. But even where we have enough teachers, we can see, and that's something that we've been working on for a long time, that by the time you get to 3rd or 4th grade, I have children of very different learning levels in my classroom. And I have a pretty one-size-fits-all curriculum that I'm supposed to direct and get my children there. So I think a lot of the learning outcome issues that we see is a combination of these 2. And a third one I just want to put on the plate, because there is a lot of talk about equity and the hope that personalized adaptive learning or AI tools are going to solve, that in addition to capability of the adults in the system that you're talking about, I think there's a mindset that we have as India, which is driven to individual excellence. It's very common for people to say, did you come first in your class? What are your marks? You go to a classroom, the first tendency of every kid is to say, sir, sir, me, me, me. And so with the new education policy and the big focus on kind of not leaving any child behind, we've made a big leap. But how do we follow through? So mixed compositions in classrooms of different types and a mentality that says, I must come first. Please solve it for me with AI.
Oh my God. A mentality that says, please come first. Some people might argue that it's not a wrong thing to have, but no, let's set that aside for the time being, right? So but then individualizing learning pathways, right? So that is certainly something that can be done. And people have experimented with this in limited context, and I know, I did my grad school in UMass Amherst, and I know that there is a very big education program in UMass Amherst where they've actually built personalized textbooks for high schoolers, and is headed by Professor Beverly Wolf. So Bev Wolf has done a lot of amazing work on actually doing this kind of customized learning, and including customizing things for visual learners versus non-visual learners and things like that. So a lot of work has been done in this space, but it's when you start thinking about how would you scale that to India scale, right? So those are issues that we'll have to think about. And again, how would you do this in a locally embedded setting? So I love this. There is this company that operates out of IIT Madras Research Park, and they teach object-oriented programming. Usually, when people teach object-oriented programming, they talk about pizzas and toppings and whatever you do, sauces and toppings and things like that, which students might find very hard to understand. So these guys teach it as dosas, masala dosa, onion dosa. So they can kind of completely localize even the examples that they give when they teach, right? So I think, how would you do like that? I mean, how would you embed it in their everyday experience so that they learn more naturally? So that's something that we have to work on, not because the technology is not there, but because the data is not there. Like you said, the culture is not there of thinking about localizing it. So, and I don't think our textbooks do a good job. And even if they try to, yeah, we are being recorded for posterity. Okay, so. No, it's not that our textbooks are doing a great job, right? They when they try to do these kinds of localization, they end up butchering the concept itself. So, so we have a lot of work to do in that space. But certainly, this is something that technology can help. But the social engineering that you asked us to do, that's not going to be part of this, right? So, let me ask you another question. Now that you ask me, of course I have to bring this back and forth. Yeah, table. Yeah. I have the token, so now I can ask you the question. So, so in terms of, I mean, this is something that you mentioned when we were chatting earlier, right? So I still would trying to understand it. You said that reading fluency is not a problem, but I know that a lot of people say that it is a problem. For example, so Preeti Jyoti in IIT Bombay, she has been building this whole Sitara thing, Tatara thing, because she has been wanting to address this reading fluency. So that is the EXL project by Xstep. And so there's so much work that's happening in the reading fluency space. And still they have cracked only Hindi and Gujarati or something like that. So why do you think that reading fluency is not a problem, it's a solved issue?
No, so how AI can solve reading fluency is, I would park with you. But I think that reading fluency just doesn't come from who shall I pin it on in this room? I think that there has to be a growing reading culture. When I remember 20, 30 years ago when Pratham books was started by Rohini, the idea was if all children in India learn to read, and let's say we have 250 million children, and when children learn to read, they read all the time. They are like Rakshas. You have to feed that Rakshas with endless numbers of books. And I think that part of this is that the exposure to reading of different types can come out of devices, but can come out of sort of many other places. You have to have adults who are reading. So my point was not that reading fluency is a problem. I think that it has to be embedded. I think it has to be embedded in a much bigger reading culture that I think both human and artificial intelligence and everybody else can participate in. Because if we want to have Nipun, and if Nipun means not just reading X number of words at Y number of minutes, but actually reading and enjoying and arguing and all of the rest of it, then we have to have a parallel or a accompanied big reading culture. So that my fluency is just not to come out of the bits that I see when I'm assessed. It has to be much more. So that's what I meant.
Okay, so great. So it's not just a question of assessment. So some of the things that we are looking at is more like a continuous reading companion that helps you to push you in that direction of enunciating the words better and things like that. So that's the kind of things we're talking about.
I would say that in my, let's say in my knowledge of children, once children learn to read, they want the kinds of things they want. They want it at their speed. If I'm reading and I like tigers, I should be able to say to something. Usually it has been to your mom or dad, but now I should be able to say it to Tara or Sitara or to whatever device. I want 5 stories about tigers.
Perfect.
And give them to me quickly.
Finally, you gave me something that's easy for AI to solve. So we can certainly do that. So with all these latest LLMs that are out there, so we can certainly generate 500 stories on tigers. Yeah, that's something that we can certainly do. And we are actually doing that. I mean, you should see some of the demos that we already have up on the Bodhan webpage. Yes. So you could see some of these are already in there. The products are there. Now the question is to solve the last mile problem, how to get it into the child's hand.
And it's similar, not just with reading. We talk a lot about reading fluency, but one can think about problem solving as well in the same way.
Sure.
That as soon as you know how to crack the usual problems which are in your textbooks and in your tests, you want to be given more complicated problems with with a variety of situations.
Sure.
And that I'm sure you can do.
Sure, that we can do. That we can do. But you started me off with a very, very complex problem. So the social engineering is something that AI alone can't do. We have to all get together.
You need us as well.
We need
Yeah.
everyone. So I think we should, before they drag us off the stage, the time has come
I
to
have
zero.
one last question because nobody is as yet dragging us off the stage.
Sure, go ahead.
This is just a statement, and I just want your reaction to it. At some level, and I hope the audience will agree with me, in early childhood or in foundational learning, I think we've come quite a distance. We have a long way to go. But I think to a large extent, or to at least a substantial level, we know what to do. We now need to get it done. However we count it, however we measure it, we are seeing progress. But somehow after the age of 10, and I've been listening, I didn't go to as many sessions as you did yesterday, but everybody is optimizing within what I would say is a pretty, a steel frame, which is called curriculum and grade, and ending with this 10th exam and the 12th exam. And many of the very innovative things which have also been evaluated say, how can you score better in your writing or in your exam preparation or in your tutoring, but all within that steel frame. Now, shouldn't in this new world of what the world can explore, break out of this frame? Will the Center of Excellence for AI in IIT help us to do that?
One of the things that we have certainly said in the center, again, it's part of the charter, is that we will be fully compliant with NEP. And NEP certainly breaks you out of that frame, right? So NEP certainly says, okay, hey, we don't really have to worry about giving exams at 10th and 12th. You can earn your credits as you will go along, as whenever you feel like working, after you have finished whatever enough subjects, you can go work, come back and finish your schooling. So NEP gives us that flexibility, and we want to make sure the tooling that we build support that flexibility. So that's certainly something that we will shoot for as well.
So commitment to making sure that foundational learning in all its aspects will be supported, and that there is a commitment to breaking out of the steel frame as long as it's compliant with NEP.
We have given it in writing in a legal document, so there's no going back on it, don't worry.
Okay, thank you so much.